An expert in the law came to Jesus and said,
"What's the most important rule?"
Jesus answered him, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your mind, and all your soul." And he said,
Well, what's the second most important rule then?
Jesus said, "Love your neighbour as yourself." And he said,
Well, who exactly is my neighbour?
To answer this, Jesus told a parable, a story with a meaning. At that time, people didn't have TVs or films they could watch, so they loved listening to stories, and they gathered round to hear what Jesus had to say. Jesus said, "A man was travelling between Jerusalem and Jericho." And the people said,
"Oh, I know that road. Jerusalem to Jericho. Oh, a terrible road. There's bandits and robbers on that road. Anybody travelling on that road is bound to be mugged."
And the man was attacked by robbers and bandits.
Told you.
He lay there bleeding and dying in the hot sun, and the people thought,
Do you know what? That road's a terrible road, but it's also hot. I mean, when the sun gets up in the sky, it means something where I live. It means it's going to be terribly hot. So in the middle of the day, no one travels. They travel at the beginning of the day and in late afternoon, never in the middle, because, well, it's too hot, isn't it? So if he's lying there in the road in the middle of the day, no one's going to come past, are they?
As it would happen, said Jesus, a priest was travelling down that road. And the people said,
Oh, wow, a priest. Well, that's perfect, isn't it? Because let's face it, a priest, it's like their job to sort things out. In my culture, a priest knows all about the law and knows all about God, and everyone looks up to them and respects them, and they do the right thing. So him coming along the road at this particular moment, well, is bound to help, isn't he, in being a priest?
But Jesus said, the priest saw the man. He saw him dying and moaning on the floor, and he was scared. Were the robbers still about? Would they attack him too? And so he crossed to the other side of the road and he legged it. And the people said,
What? He just... Ooh, I'm shocked. I mean, I expected the priest to help. It was like automatic, wouldn't it be? And you left him there. Ooh.
And Jesus said, it seemed like all hope was lost. But then a Levite started walking down the street.
Now, modern people won't exactly understand what a Levite is.
In fact, modern people may be wondering why a pair of cool trousers were walking down the road. But the people said,
No, they're not jeans, not trousers. A Levite is a social worker what works at the temple. So, like, if you're having trouble with your teenagers, well, he'd pop along and say, sort out your parenting skills, get those kids sorted out, stop them running amok at night. And, well, if there's a woman in your community, well, her husband's died and left her with a lot of debt and a lot of children, Levite come along, get the community all round, bringing her a few little parcels of food, looking after her. Social worker, that's what a Levite is, and he's bound to help, because it's his job after all, isn't it?
But Jesus said, the Levite walked past and saw the man and saw no one was around to see him help, and he didn't want to get his hands dirty. He couldn't be bothered, so he crossed to the other side of the road and left. And the people said,
What? he didn't help. And just, oh, I'm shocked. I'd have expected him to help. I mean, it's his job, and if he doesn't help, who will? And no one will come along now, will they? And that lad, well, he's a nice lad, isn't he? A nice Jewish lad. And, well, he's going to die now because no one else is going to come along that road because of the bandits and robbers and because of the hot sun. Dum, dum, da, dum,
The man lay there,
dum,
dying, in the hot sun.
Dum,
No one knew where he was. All his closest friends would never know what happened to him. Hope was fading. Slowly, he was dying. But then, someone came down the road. Someone started walking past him.
It's a miracle.
It was a Samaritan. And the people said,
Sorry, a Samaritan? Excuse me. No, we have to do that when you mention the S word, Samaritan, excuse me. You see, I'll explain. They're not like us. They dress differently to us. We're Jewish, obviously, and they're Samaritans, excuse me. And, well, they have different views about things. And, well, I don't let my children play with them, and they don't let their children play with our children. In fact, we cross the road to avoid them. And, well, they think differently about God. And they think they're right about what they think about God, and we're wrong. But we think that we're right and they're wrong. So they think that we're not right and that they are not wrong because, well, they think that they're right and that we're wrong. And we think that we're right and that they are wrong, so they are definitely not right. And, well, we don't like each other. We definitely wouldn't help one of their lads. And they're not out one of ours, are they? Shame it's one of them coming along.
But Jesus said, the Samaritan stopped and got off his donkey. And the people said,
What? He stopped? What else did he do?
The Samaritan pulled out his flask and poured water into the man's mouth.
His own flask?
He wrapped the wounds of the man and he lifted him onto the donkey. He rode with the donkey to the nearest inn and he paid for the man to stay, paid for all his food and all his care. He said he would return after a week to check the man was doing okay. And the people said,
What? Oh, he... Oh, I'm shocked. Really shocked.
Finishing his story, Jesus turned to the crowd and asked, who of these men was a neighbour to the injured man? And the people said,
Well, let me just work this out. The priest, well, he was just scared. He didn't think about anybody else but himself, and he legged it, didn't he? The Levite, ooh, he didn't bother. He couldn't be bothered. Crossed over the road, left him. The Samaritan, well, he paid. Jesus, it was the Samaritan that helped.
and Jesus said to them and to us, go and do likewise.
What do you mean? I don't have to care just for my friends and the people in my family and the people I know and like. I'm supposed to care for people I don't know and people I don't like and people who are enemies and people I've never met and people who might be a bit smelly and dirty. I'm supposed to care for everybody.
And Jesus answered, "Go and do likewise."